breaking news.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Back Cover, where we break down the biggest stories in media, culture and politics. I'm your host, Mabenga Sendaluka, and today we've got a packed show. First up, Women in Media is facing backlash over its decision to have its national patron, Ita Buttrose, appear as a keynote guest in conversation next month. This comes after her witness testimony in the Antoinette Lattouf case against the ABC, a case that's raised serious concerns about workplace discrimination and the treatment of women of colour in Australian media. We'll unpack the controversy and why it struck such a nerve. Then we're diving into the latest tabloid buzz about Meghan Markle. Page 6 is reporting that she's been dropped by her powerhouse agency, WME. The agency has since denied the claims, but in the world of celebrity PR, perception is everything. We'll separate fact from fiction and look at what this means for Meghan's public image. And finally, with International Women's Day just around the corner, we're taking a hard look at performative allyship. Companies love to roll out the slogans and the hashtags, but research shows it's still a major issue across industries. This year, I'm calling it out because a token panel or a social media post just isn't enough. We need real change. So let's start with women in media. You'd think an organisation that claims to support women in the industry would be mindful of its messaging. But no. This year, its keynote guest is none other than Ita Buttrose. So why is this so controversial? Well, Ita Buttrose recently gave very damning testimony in the Antoinette Lattouf case. Antoinette Lattouf is a Lebanese-Australian journalist who's suing the ABC for unfair dismissal. Lawyers for Lattouf have argued that she was unfairly dismissed from her Radio Sydney job based on her political views and/or race. And they also argue that Buttrose, at the very least, contributed to that. Buttrose has denied any wrongdoing, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions. So you can imagine when Women in Media sent out this invitation showing that Buttrose will be featured in conversation on March 18, people were shocked. People were surprised that this woman who's at the centre of a firestorm and this racial discrimination case is essentially being rewarded. There was a lot of backlash on social media because Women in Media wants to uplift women's voices, but is platforming someone who at best ignored serious workplace discrimination and at worst actively contributed to it. The irony is staggering. And it's not just media insiders raising eyebrows. Women of colour, journalists and industry veterans are calling this move tone deaf. You can't preach about inclusivity and then celebrate figures who fail to uphold those very values when it matters most. If Women in Media wants to be taken seriously, they need to do better. Otherwise, their so-called advocacy is just another PR stunt. Now, on to another headline making waves, Meghan Markle's alleged split from WME. Now, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I see a story about Meghan and Harry, I take it with a grain of salt, only because there's a lot of rubbish out there. This particular story is from Page 6, and they've quoted multiple unnamed sources. So essentially they're saying that, after months of speculation, the top Hollywood agency has dropped the Duchess, right? But it's a bit of a weird one because as you go on to read it, you see that WME has actually denied that they've dropped Meghan. In fact, they say WME continues to represent Meghan and Archewell. So I'm not quite sure why Page 6 has run it this way. Maybe they know something that I don't, but until I hear otherwise, I'm just going to brush this off as tabloid fodder. Look, the truth is, Meghan is a media lightning rod. Whether she's making moves or laying low, the press is always spinning a narrative about her. And let's be real, there's a long history of the media trying to discredit outspoken, successful women, particularly women of colour. Is this a genuine career crisis or just another attempt to tear her down? If she was dropped, why is WME scrambling to deny it? And if she wasn't, why do people want to believe she's failing? It all points to a larger issue, how the media selectively builds up and breaks down women in the spotlight. We'll keep an eye on this one. And finally, let's talk about International Women's Day. It's that time of year when companies start rolling out the hashtags, panel discussions, and glossy ad campaigns, all in the name of supporting women. But let's be honest, a lot of it is performative. Last year, we wrote a story on backcovernews.com about performative allyship. This highlighted just how perverse the lack of real diversity is across sectors. The response was overwhelming, and we found that the root of the issue lies in entrenched power dynamics where decision-making authority rests predominantly in the hands of white executives. Performative allyship perpetuates these inequalities, maintaining existing power dynamics and hindering genuine progress. A damning report by the Diversity Council of Australia exposes the prevalence of racial discrimination within the workplace, with minimal action taken to address it. The Diversity Council Australia's 2022 Racism at Work report paints a troubling picture. Out of 1,500 workers surveyed across the nation, less than a quarter believed their employers swiftly addressed instances of workplace racism. Just 27% reported proactive efforts by their organisations to prevent such occurrences. We've all seen it. Corporations posting about empowering women while paying them less, or media outlets celebrating diversity while sidelining women of colour. Every year, companies slap a purple filter on their logo, send out a tweet about empowerment and call it a day. Where are the real commitments to equal pay, safe workplaces and leadership opportunities for women, especially women of colour? Where's the accountability for toxic cultures? The companies profiting off International Women's Day events while upholding systemic inequalities need to be called out. This year, let's not just celebrate women. We need to demand better. No more lip service, no more PR stunts. Let's support organisations actually making a difference and holding the rest accountable. And that's it for today's episode. Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments and make sure to like, share and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date. See you next time.